Well, welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me this afternoon is your Chief of Police, Chad Brecklin. Chad, thank you for stopping by. I know you guys always staying busy and everything you do. So certainly appreciate the time.
Always happy to join you.
Oh, you're a riot up here. Let me tell you what. A lot of things have taken place in Dane County.
Yeah.
In recent with an active shooter situation over in the city of Middleton. I thought it would be a great opportunity to take the time to talk about that. There is active shooter trainings available out there, and the Fitchburg Police Department has and will continue to do this type of training. So, which try to sum it all up in 6 minutes.
I'll do my best, particularly trying to be concise because that can be a struggle for me. But anyway, we clearly last week saw a tragic situation happen in Middleton, and thanks to the Middleton Police Department and Dane County Sheriff's Office, those first few responding officers who acted so quickly and decisively in order to prevent further injury and or loss of life, obviously with the exception of the person that came in and did the shooting. We train with Middleton Police Department during our quarterly in-service, so we've had a number of active shooter training sessions with the Middleton Police Department. And also, if you are a business owner in particular, or maybe an organization like a church, whatever the case may be, we do have people on staff who are trained in active shooter response, not only from the law enforcement perspective, but also from the civilian perspective. In addition, the Dane County Sheriff's Office also has a deputy who is trained in both the law enforcement response and, more importantly, the citizen or civilian response to an active shooter. And what we've been doing is partnering with the Sheriff's Office in many situations to offer training to the Fitchburg community, whether it be businesses or organizations or even just civic groups or interested parties that may want to learn more about what they can do if they find themselves in that very stressful situation. So if you are interested in reaching out to the department, just send me an email. That's probably the best way of getting in touch with the people that do the training. So you can contact me. Just go to the city's website, click on contact the chief through my email link, and send me an email, and we'll get one of the instructors in touch with you and get something on the calendar.
Yeah, again, a devastating situation there. Again, the training that all officers go through, and as you had mentioned too,
right.
That really plays a part. Can you just quickly tell the viewers about the ongoing training that officers go through, not just on active shooter? I mean, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that that you guys go through, plans, things. Not that a plan always comes together, but it's that training that hopefully you'll be able to pull on when a time of crisis happens.
Yeah, and just before I transition to that, when we talk about citizens being trained for active shooter response, while we hope that we never have to use that training on, in the civilian side and certainly on the law enforcement side, it is always good to have a plan. So if you are an employee in a business or you are at church on a Sunday morning and something happens, it's good to know what sorts of steps you can take and have at least a mental plan prepared as to what you might do based upon different scenarios that could present themselves. It's not comfortable to think about those things by all means, but it is something that could help save you from injury and or death by having thought of some things that you can do in advance. I do encourage people obviously to go about their daily lives. We cannot live in a pattern of fear, so to speak. But it is good to just think about those things and have that plan in place mentally, if nothing else. And as far as our training, we do a ton of training on a variety of different topics. It sometimes can be a challenge to get everything scheduled, but we do quarterly in-service training with Middleton Police Department, where all of our department staff are trained on a variety of topics, some mandated by state regulations, which are appropriate, like emergency vehicle operations, things like defensive and arrest tactics, those sorts of things. But active shooter is something we typically will do on an annual basis. We also try to get all of our staff through school buildings on an annual basis, and certainly every other year, so that folks are at least familiar with the layout of the school. since that typically has been the highest target on our country so far. And, we talk about things like de-escalation and domestic abuse investigations and sexual assault investigations and cultural competency, all kinds of different things, mental health awareness, because as you know, in our business, we are called to kind of deal with a little bit of everything. And sometimes the expectations are that we're an expert in whatever we're dealing with. And the reality is that we face so many different situations from a wide-ranging spectrum that it's quite difficult to be an expert in any one thing. We really need to be generalists, and that's what our training focuses on, is to give a good awareness level to the majority of our staff on a wide variety of topics, and then those topics that we deal with on a regular basis, we look to have people who become much more well-versed and then can do some additional training as necessary.
Absolutely. I think it's always good to share that, that you don't see it, and I only because I was in public safety for a short time, and it's impressive the amount of stuff that you guys are taking on day to day, but also the training to keep that stuff up. So important. So
I don't know where I am on time, but maybe we just fulfill the whole segment on active shooter. But, one of the things that we've done on active shooter stuff is just to kind of give you an example behind the scenes is we've been in discussions and regular work group meetings with the Verona Area School District for over 4 years, just on active shooter response in and of itself. We've done exercises with them. Those include initial response to a scene. Those include reunification of students with families after an incident has happened, talking about policies and protocols. And we just, in conjunction with Verona Police Department, just did training with our staff and their police staff for all of the district employees right before the school year started during their in-service orientation. So, we had 3 of our active shooter instructors at the 2 Verona schools here in Fitchburg. And, it's just one of those things that people don't necessarily see that happening. They see the marked car driving by on the street, or they see the officer in action, whenever something happens. But there's a lot of involvement from a lot of different people before something happens, and that's ends up being the critical work, being done at the in the forefront, or before the incident happens, kind of in the background, getting the connections, getting the plans in place, and then hoping, those plans pay off. And clearly in the Middleton case, the training and the planning that Middleton PD had done paid off.
Well, and then too, sticking on this topic, we tend to see too that, out of a bad situation, we're going to get a lot of good information and better responses and better. So while, definitely a tragedy, and our thoughts are with everybody involved in that, we'll be able to learn from that incident too, and put that into the bag of tricks for future.
Absolutely. It's always good to learn from the experiences of others.
Fantastic. Well, there you go. See, we always use up the time.
It
goes
shortage
too fast here. So
exactly.
Appreciate the time and the discussion. Again, we'll get you next month, and keep citizens up to date what's going on.
Sounds great.
Everyone, I think I say this every time. Tell everybody say hi and to stay safe out there, please.
Thank you much.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.